Maybe, just maybe, the 2026 NFL draft running back class is deeper than we thought. Maybe day 3 of the NFL Combine put that a little more on their radar. Hey, let's talk about it. Okay. Jeremiyah Love, always the man at the top. We got some actual measurements here. 6 foot, 212 pounds. And all we got was a 40. Pretty dang good. 4.36 and a 1.55 10-yard split. What did he show you today?
He reminds me of Jahmyr Gibbs. If you want to really dream about how this translates to the league, his score was the exact same. He just happens to be heavier. When I plugged him into my model, the comp that spit out was actually DeMarco Murray, who, when I think about DeMarco Murray, he put on a little bit more weight in the NFL. But Jeremiyah Love, who's to say that he can't do it? 6'1" and already at 210 pounds. So the speed was electric. We saw that on tape. I talked about that. They showed it on the broadcast. The hurdle over the USC Trojans, the spin move that he had against Pitt, just ridiculous movement ability out there. Could play on all phases as well. So he did everything that he needed to be a potential top 10 pick. There's a bunch of freakazoids like Jeremiyah Love at the non-premium positions. I think that's going to be the big story arc of round 1.
Even 13 pounds heavier than Jahmyr Gibbs was at his NFL Combine. Yeah, I mean, you can talk about his hurdles, you can talk about his spins, you can talk about his speed. I think his movement is just simply special. Like, it's the most basic thing, but he has this incredible fluidity and control of his body. So he can go from super smooth behind the line of scrimmage and at the second level to explosiveness to, take advantage of these creases or whatever space is there for him in an absolute instant. And that dynamic, when you have someone who really doesn't have like that much wasted movement behind the line of scrimmage, but then also has this incredible size and insane speed on top of it, and also is willing to like put his body on the line to make some big time plays. That's a pretty sick combo that should lead to explosive plays, which really is like the name of the game for running games in the NFL right now.
Yeah, he has the ability like Kenneth Walker where he can bounce things outside, but he's so athletic that he can get away with it. And I just think that the all-rounded skill set of Love is just a little bit smoother than some of the up and down nature of the Kenneth Walker game. So it would not be surprised if he went top 10. If he went to the Chiefs at 9th overall, we would be considering him inside the top 5 overall in fantasy drafts.
28 and 27 receptions over the last 2 seasons on top of it. Okay, my opening statement was really about this guy out of Arkansas, Mike Washington Jr., 6'1", 223 pounds. So a lot of people might look at that on a page and think that he's a bruiser, a pile mover. Well, he posts a 4.33 40, a 39-inch vert, a 10'8" broad jump, second among running backs. When you watched him at Arkansas, did this type of athleticism pop to you?
It absolutely did. This was the guy pre-draft, and I was just speed running through all these running back prospects because there's a million guys that are kind of on like the top 100 periphery. And he was the one that easily looked the best to me on tape. He was able to run through a lot of arm tackles. Then we did get to that second level. He can split safeties and actually take it to the house. He was a big guy on top of that. The on-field measurements as well backed this up and then absolutely crushed it at the combine to the tune of 99th percentile speed scores. That's weight adjusted 40-yard dash, 99th percentile. Now, running backs, you don't have to be an elite athlete to be a very good running back in the NFL. Like, look no further than like the Josh Jacobs tier of guys, but it certainly helps to be able to turn the corner and split it all the way through. So I think his score was so good that he might like solidify himself as the RB3 in this draft, in this really bad draft class. And I do think the gap between RB3 and the RB2, who we'll get to, I think tightened here. Like, that's how good of a day it was for Mike Washington and how bad of a group this is in general.
He's basically the same size as Amari Hampton, who went in the first round last year and posted an even better athletic profile than Amari Hampton did last season. That's pretty nutty stuff. I mean, he started his career 3 years at Buffalo, then New Mexico State, then Arkansas. He already has seasons of 23 and 28 catches, basically just like Jeremiyah Love. I mean, he is pretty smooth for a big guy, you know?
Yes.
I do think because of, I'm not going to say he's high cut, but he does have these long striding legs. In space, he can kind of get chopped down a little bit and lose his balance. But man, he's another one that, because of this top end speed that he has, you sometimes want these big guys who are fast to get to the edge. We talk about with Derrick Henry all the time with the Titans and the Baltimore Ravens, because if you give him that free space, he is off to the races. And then I think this size at 223 pounds kind of gives him this, you know, natural short yardage ability on top of it because he can move piles. So look, I'm not extremely deep into this. I haven't been covering it since August, but I don't know, man. this guy with this size and this profile to him, it wouldn't shock me at all. And I haven't seen it mentioned that if he's the running back 2 over Jadarian.
Yeah, I'm definitely considering it at this point. He also did the meme where he immediately after the 40-yard dash was on the phone calling his family and was crying over it, which is pretty
correct. Hayden, if I ran a 4.33 40, I'd probably cry too.
The million. Well, your hamstrings would be so torn you'd be in pain.
Yes, that is true. Okay, let's talk about Jadarian Price, the running mate of Jeremiyah Love out of Notre Dame, 5'11", 203 pounds, so about 9 pounds lighter. Does go with a 4.49 and 1.61 10-yard split. Anything you want to say about Price here? Did he help or hurt himself?
I think he hurt himself. He's a difficult evaluation just because he was always the backup to Jeremiyah Love. The fact that he wasn't catching passes while also being the smaller back between the two is a red flag. And for him to kind of justify second round draft capital, you kind of have to crush the rest of the profile just because he doesn't have the same production as most round 2 running backs. So he was just smaller than I thought he was. He wasn't like massive on tape, but he's bottom 10th percentile in BMI, which is just height versus your weight among drafted running backs, only 203 pounds. And then the numbers just across the board weren't that good. So speed score, 33rd percentile, vertical jump, 46th percentile. His weight just in general is in the 22nd percentile. So is he holding on for dear life as running back 2? I think that's probably a fair way to place it. I think that the top 50 love for him will probably start to die down after today.
Just 15 total catches over 3 college seasons. That is important. You know, if you take him in round 2 or round 3, then you want him to play on multiple downs. And right now you have to go through a lot to see if, you know, he has that ability and really, you know, project that pass catching ability on top of it. He did have 113 and 120 carries over the last 2 seasons. So at least those numbers are quite large.
I think you literally have to watch every single one of those and just make this a film evaluation. There's like nothing else that you can really glean from. He didn't like completely write himself off with such a terrible combine day. He didn't like absolutely make you want to draft him either. It's just like, what is your film evaluation of him? And that's the only thing we can really trust here.
By the way, if you're new around here, thanks for joining us. We already have combine reactions to the pass rushers, the defensive linemen, the linebackers, as well as the freakazoids at tight ends and safeties. So hit that subscribe button because all these wide receivers, running backs, quarterbacks, tight ends, we're going to have individual scouting reports and prospect videos on them on the channel as we approach the 2026 NFL draft. So if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button. Okay. Since those names are out of the way, I have a handful I want to talk about. I know you have a couple as well. Throw me one. Who do you want to discuss?
Let's go with, how about your guy over at Wake Forest, Claiborne? He 4.37 40, only 188 pounds. That makes him a role player in the NFL. I know you went back and watched this. Tell me more about his tape.
Well, I knew instantly as soon as I saw 188 pounds that you were going to hate him. He was about 7 pounds lighter than his listed weight. Like you said, 4.37 40. He did the second best in both jumps in terms of the vertical and the broad jump of this group. Go watch his game against Georgia Tech, all right? And don't immediately write him off. Do one thing for me, Hayden, and don't just throw Claiborne into the trash can because of his weight. By the way, Devon Achane was 188 pounds. Bucky Irving was 192 pounds. So we have seen success. And what we always talked about with Bucky Irving, I'm not calling him this, but how he was so good at setting up second-level defenders by forcing them in one direction and then attacking kind of the momentum, the opposite shoulder, and also, you know, their extension, and you can break tackles that way. Claiborne had a ton of inside runs with pullers and action up front at Wake Forest, and he was bouncing off contact. He rode the wave. He won through the heart of the defense and also bounced outside with really, really good timing. So, look, he definitely doesn't have the same level of production as some of the other players that we're talking about here, and maybe he has to be a kick returner and those types of things early on. And look, maybe he's a early day 3 guy, but I did see someone that played bigger than 188, and it also helps to have a 4.37 40 on top of it.
Yeah, he was a role player at Wake Forest, but did catch 23 and 28 passes the last 2 years. So he's definitely somebody that even before the combine today was getting some top 5 love in the class. He's probably worked himself into like a 4th or 5th round draft pick at this point. I
also want to bring up Seth McGowan out of Kentucky, 223 pounds, more of your type, 6 foot, did post a 4.49 and 1.6 10-yard split. By the way, he now owns the second best vertical jump of any NFL combine running back since at least 2007 at 42.5 inches, and then the ninth best broad jump at 10'11". Before I even get into maybe his play style, he is older. I don't know how old. I couldn't find a birthday, but just going back through the timeline, he began his career at Oklahoma, then left football for 2 years, then went to community college, then New Mexico State, which, by the way, New Mexico State has a bunch of these transfer guys.
I know.
That we've already talked about and will talk about, and then closed out his career at Kentucky. So he was an interesting player to me. He runs like a pure athlete. I didn't feel like he had a lot of feel in terms of working off his blocks and of space.
Mm-hmm.
And that kind of reminded me of like a Tank Bigsby running style a bit.
He went to Oklahoma at the same time Ramondre Stevenson was over there. That's how long ago it's been. So yeah, he's on my to-do list. Congrats to him for jumping out of the gym. Some of the verticals this year, I mean, I don't know if they put something in the damn turf or if it's a different Wheaties formula or what the hell it is, but it's impressive.
And before we get out of here on the running back class, Hayden mentioned it. You know, I really do value athletic testing for a lot of these positions. It is always great when the best running backs are also the best athletes. That's like a perfect combination. But it is also one of those positions because it's really your eyes and your feet and little waist and movement and no fat on your movements. That's the key to like being a really good running back. Some backs over the last handful of years: Josh Jacobs, Bucky Irving, James Conner, Kyron Williams, Dalvin Cook, Ramondre Stevenson, Devontae Freeman, and Frank Gore, etc., all range from average testing athletes to bad athletes. So again, as much as I love athleticism when it comes to these NFL players, running backs, I kind of value it the least in terms of if you tested poorly, that should remove you from draft boards. I don't believe that. I think there's a lot more to it, as we see with, like, again, the Rams guys, like the Blake Corums and the Kyron Williams.
Oh yeah. I think Blake Corum is a perfect example of just your decision-making speed and your ability to absorb balance. You clearly can't do that at the combine, but those two traits really matter. I do think, just real quick, Jonah Coleman might be a good example of that. Jonah Coleman, I mean, he's really short, but he's 220 pounds. He did not do testing, I think probably for a reason, did not look very athletic on tape, but seemed to be one of these guys that does a lot correctly. He was also on the mic and gave, I think, the best quote of the running back group talking about pass protection. He said, the quarterback gets paid $100 million. I get paid $2 million. Who's more important? He understands it.
$2 million. Must be nice.
Pretty good.
Pretty good. Pass protection, again, prospect profiles. Hayden and I will go through like all the pass protection reps of all these guys, which is very, very notable. And you hear all NFL teams talk about that once these players are selected. So again, if you're new around here, hit that subscribe button.
We got one more. Emmett Johnson was getting a lot of top 5 love. I think he was actually even like 77th overall on the consensus board. Not the outing that he wanted. 202 pounds. First 40 time was at 4.6, which is like fringing on, are you going to even be able to cut it? Gets down to 4.57, still pretty low for him. So I'd be pretty surprised if he's a top 100 pick at this point. And I do think that someone like Mike Washington, just based off the athleticism and size alone, I think those two guys are probably going to flip in general. Last one, Jam Miller out of Alabama. Pretty name. It's a great name. Didn't have the crazy season of like the typical Alabama backs, but he was 4.42 in the 40 at 209 pounds. I think just watching his movement skills in the drills, he just seems like someone that kind of gets it. So Jam Miller, not the sexiest profile by any means. Could he be a 5th round pick and kind of form a committee in the NFL? I wouldn't rule that out. I think in this draft class, that's a win. You know, we're trying to find guys that are just going to like hold on and like get some actual NFL touches. Not the most exciting class in general.
Look, everyone thinks this running back class outside of Jeremiyah Love sucks. I'm doing my best to find someone. That's my pledge to you, is that over the course of these next 2 months, when we watch all these prospects for these profiles for the channel, I'll find someone for you all to like. And if there's already someone that you do love, leave it down in the comments down below. I would love to hear.
Mine's Mike Washington. I think he's a dog.
Okay. Well, I mean, that's an obvious.
I said it before. I said, I got to say it. I got to say it. I watched it before. I tweeted it before. I got the receipts. I can claim.
Wow. You like the guy that's 223 pounds that runs a 4.3? Wow.
Well, I saw it before. I knew it was coming.
All right. I'll find someone on top of that. That's a bigger challenge. Appreciate you all watching. We have another wide receiver video and probably quarterbacks on top of that posting most likely this evening. So again, check it out. Check out the rest of the videos on the channel. We'll check you next time. See you.